Alright, y'all ready to get this thing going? If you would join me for the invocation, please. Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come do the county's business. We pray for guidance, Father, as we go about the process of creating the best budget for Gilmer County. Pray that you would be with us, help us to do what's right and what's best. We thank you, Father, for the opportunity for living in such a wonderful place as this. And for those that made that possible for us, that fought and died so that we would have this opportunity to live in safety and freedom. We ask, Father, that you would be with us, that you would bless our actions today, and help us to do what is right. In Jesus' name, Father, we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anybody have any changes to the agenda?
I do not.
Now we'll make a motion that the agenda be approved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Do we have any unfinished discussions that we want to have on the budget before we get right into it? Okay, let's start looking at our proposed budget. The big changes that you will see from our original, what was put together originally, will be in the capital budget portion, and we'll get to that shortly. The M&O is going to be $21,711,407 as presented here at least. And that will contain a contingency fund of $624,786. The biggest part of which is the $500 savings from the health care, because we don't want to really commit that to anything that's like salaries or anything that has to go beyond year one. Yeah, because we can't count on that in future years.
We do also have a contingency in Park and Rec as well, right?
On the capital side.
Oh, that's on the capital side, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, okay.
Okay. Do y'all want to go by these one by one, or just whatever you have questions on? The vast majority of them are unchanged.
General question, because I don't have in front of me, 2018 revenue number budget compared to this 21.7.
I don't think I'm in front of me.
It was around 20 million, wasn't it?
Can I see that spreadsheet I gave you, Brian?
I think it was 20 million.
Around that. In 2018, we had to make quite a few cuts. So we're doing better.
It was just a little less than 20 million.
Just slightly less than 20 million. Okay, so this is up revenue wise.
Yeah, almost 2 million.
Almost, yeah, 1.7 at least.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of the deal I want to get.
This is the first time we've seen the capital, and we just
Sure.
look at it and kind of.
You want to do that first?
In perspective. That's where most of the challenges
All
are.
right, let's go straight to the capital budget
It
then.
should be in the very back, right there, the last couple of pages.
And there were quite a lot of cuts that had to be made in capital budget.
We're going to come back to the general fund.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with the
I
capital.
want to put it in perspective with this,
Yeah.
this is where it's tough.
Yeah, this was the tough one. Let me start with the first thing that you don't have the note on here. Under courthouse and facilities for the contingency, it's $305,000. Now, what we had talked about was 250,000 plus adding 100,000. The 250 was left over from 18, plus adding 100,000 for 19 would give us 350,000. So that was the way I originally started with it, and then when I had to go back and start trying to figure out where to start doing some cutting, it appeared to me that the firewall and the carpet replacement, which combined are $45,000, were items that really could legitimately come out of the contingency
For 18.
for 19.
For 19.
For 19. The 350,000 after the 100,000 had been added. So I did combine those and put those, or fund those from the contingency, which makes the contingency 305,000 rather than 350,000.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
If a significant portion of that number is carried over, why is it showing up as a budget item in the full amount?
There was a note that you don't see on here. You should have gotten it on here.
Okay.
That says 250,000 is carryover and 100,000 is for 19 minus 45,000.
But in terms of the balance down here,
Yeah, right.
you're adding in the carryover.
We have to budget for those carryovers to keep those from rolling into fund balance at the end of the year.
That was a decision I thought we made 3 or 4 months ago that we would commit money that would be carried over.
How much was carried over?
250,000 in your courthouse contingency fund, which was essentially the full amount that was placed there.
But the point is, we've already got that money, that's not
It's in, theoretically in the bank.
in the bank, it's not part of this budget, it's part of that fund.
It's, okay, the contingency was for the courthouse, for
I
capital.
understand all of it, we did set
Well,
aside and so
The,
forth.
I understand, Travis, of course. The question is, how much are we adding to that for 2019?
55,000.
That's not.
Well,
that's not-
actually,
that's not-
100,000, but we're committing 45,000 of that to the carpet and firewall, because those are things that legitimately could come out of that contingency. Now, we can say that the contingency fund is $100,000 minus the 45,000. To me, that's more misleading than saying that we have 350 there, because this is what we have available to us. Now, not all of the revenue came in 19, which is, I think, where you're going with this.
Yeah.
But not all of the revenue for, much of this came from 19. If you'll notice, back on the summary page, on the very first page, let's see,
For the capital.
the very last item under the M&O budget. No, I'm sorry, I'm using it wrong.
It's the allocated fund balance line down toward the bottom. Maybe on the second page.
I'll find it.
on the back.
What fund are you talking about?
Capital. Capital.
430. Fund 430.
430.
Yeah, under the summary page for the capital budget, if you'll notice down at the bottom, it's allocated fund balance, because what happened is not everything that is in the 2019 capital budget could have been funded through the 2019 capital budget income. Rather, we had leftover money that we could, and the leftover was about, let's see, it was about 2 million. Because what we did was we had to take 1.583 million of that and move it over into 19 so that we can fund the 19 capital budget portions that are funded there. We wanted to leave $500,000 there untouched. So the figure you're seeing there, $1,583,076, represents the money that was available going into 19 for the 19 capital budget, minus a $500 buffer that we wanted to leave there. So put this line here in the summary sheet. And there's probably a line over here referencing it too, but the point being that it, I think, is more clear as to what we're starting with and what we're working with by doing that and showing that $250,000 in there. Now, $250,000 is part of that contingency that we brought over that 185. So, but this gives a clear picture of what we're doing.
Let me ask, these two capital budget pages add up to this 8 million number in the summary?
When you include that 1.5 million that we moved in, yes.
No, you moved that into the revenue side, not in the expense side.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were asking.
No, not on the expense side.
On the expense
These
side.
are expenses here on the two
Yeah, on
capital
the,
sheets.
on the expense side, all of this totals up to the 8,528,000. Now, including the $4 million for debt service payments, keep in mind that when we say the capital budget is 8,528,000, we're not spending 8,528,000 on capital items. 4 million of that is our debt service. Yeah, exactly. So if you subtract 4 million, no, you know what, I'm telling you wrong. That's after you subtract 4 million.
Yeah, I think
We
so.
are spending 8 million.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If I read this right.
No, you do.
Because
It
we
was
got,
12, and we subtracted 4.
and he's got an unallocated here of the 500,000 basically.
Yeah.
Is that right, Sandy? I guess I'm okay, except I'm with Travis, I'm trying to understand, I don't
It's
like,
an annual budget.
yeah, I don't
That's
like
the
putting fund balance in,
An annual budget. No.
And I would agree other than contingency funds. For contingency
yeah,
funds,
I gotta think that through.
the whole point of that is to,
It's a surplus built up,
it's a surplus for,
so to speak.
yeah.
And basically, we had, a month ago, we had a different number, and this is less, I know. Can you give us the biggest changes there in these numbers, Charlie?
You talking about on the expenditure
On the
side?
capital side, yeah, for what we dropped out, for what?
Yeah, I
Just to
can,
help me.
I can. Okay. And the beginning of that is this contingency fund where it's 305 rather than 350.
Okay.
And the 45,000 was by including the firewall and the carpet replacement, or funding it from that contingency.
Understand those two, yeah.
Okay, the audio visual from 195 is not a change,
Right.
nor is the security planners, the Tomcat floor scrubber, or the new building and the existing building. Those are all carryovers.
Right.
The 6 vehicles for the sheriff is not a change.
Right.
Nor the tasers. The enterprise lease is existing,
And
as is payment number 4, which is the last payment, by the way, on the Chargers, the F-150 and the Tahoe. So no changes there. The LMIG, enterprise lease, motor grader, 2 shop spreaders, no changes there. But if you'll notice below that, the asphalt spreader has been removed. The tandem spreader truck has been
that's a
removed.
change.
That's a change.
I got you.
The pothole patcher remains.
Yeah.
The heavy-duty motor jack for the shop remains. Enterprise lease is existing. The lift station upgrade has been modified from $250,000 originally requested to $240,000. So I took $10,000 off of that. The new scales, I took $500 off of that. It was 40. No, it was 36.5, I think.
Yeah,
I didn't change that. Card reader is unchanged. The land acquisition is unchanged. Courtroom computer upgrades are unchanged. The 2 trucks, what I did was moved them from cash for 2 trucks to a lease for 2 trucks, so, I don't remember what the original figure was, but then it was 15,500 for the lease.
It was 55,000.
55,000, so I didn't eliminate the trucks, I just changed them to a lease rather than the outright cash purchase. Handicap doors, I took $250 off of that, and it really did get to the point where I was looking at 250 here and 100 there. Parking area and sidewalk, I think it was 10,000 originally, I took 200 off of that. The copier lease, matching funds for computers for the extension agents is unchanged. In the fire department, everything down to the turnout gear remains unchanged. I did take off $600 off of the tanker pumper, 250 to 249
Turnout, we didn't have a ladder truck in there.
No, that we had a discussion of a ladder truck, but because
Didn't
of
make the first cut.
it didn't make the first cut.
Okay, I thought so, okay.
The turnout gear,
How much was the turnout gear?
do you have the?
It was 50,000.
Can we do part of that? Is there any way
We can, we just have to figure out
where to get it? I understand. But
Now, one of the reasons when I was looking for 200 here, 300 there, one of the things that I had taken out was the gateway signage at 135,000. And I decided, well, I really don't want to take that out. I know we have not discussed leaving it with the chamber, but I at least wanted to put half of that amount back in. So I put that, I put 67.5 at 135 back in, and that's where I was going through trying to get 500 here, 200 there. That's what happened with putting 45,000 for the carpets and so forth back in the contingency. I was trying to get that 67.5 back. So we can do whatever part of the turnout gear that you want, we just have to figure out where to take it. And while you're thinking about that,
Where did that signage fall? Where was that originally?
it was under the board commission.
Board of Commissioners.
Signage.
Oh, yeah, got it.
But while you're thinking about the turnout gear, there are other things too. The air pack replacement is
Right.
gone. The replacement rescue truck is gone. The 2 extended cab utility trucks with lights and radio are gone. Those were big ticket items that we just ran out of money before we got able to fund them. EMA, $600,000 for a new EMA headquarters is gone. No. $300,000 for the mobile command unit is gone. And I can get a price for the extended cab F-250. $40,000, that's gone. Tax assessors,
The only change there was the G-frame that went from
went
the
from a purchase
cash
to a
purchase
lease.
to a lease. From 38,000 down to
Essentially,
10,000.
I think all the vehicles that didn't get eliminated completely were moved from a cash purchase to a lease. The server for the tax assessors remains. I think that's super critical. Code and regulatory compliance, this will be the last payment on the lease for the Tacoma. Parks and Recreation, the new restroom at the Pavilion T-ball fields is gone. The gravel base for the parking lot at T-ball fields is gone. Renovation on Fish Park is gone. And the renovation to the Pavilion restaurant is gone. Everything that's not gone stayed the same. Painting the Civic Center is gone. And engineering and design for Clear Creek Phase 2 is gone.
it's hard to leave that much contingency for new swimming pool.
But that's carrying 300,000 from last year,
You do the
300,000
same
this
thing
year.
there.
Same thing there, 300 of that is from 18, 300 for and the idea is if we can do 300 a year, and 2 more years after 19, we'll have enough. We're gonna have to either shut it down or build a new. And given the input that we got in our town hall meeting, I don't see shutting it down as an option.
And I'm still gonna make a case that those numbers are inflated,
Which number?
including carryover numbers in these numbers is inflating for our
Well,
purposes.
how do you want to do it?
Yeah,
We, according to the auditors, if we want to carry something over from one year to the next, we have to budget for it that year. If we don't, it runs into fund balance and just goes away.
And I thought we had,
Well, I mean, it doesn't go away, but it just kind of gets
It's-
absorbed.
the budgeting for it goes away.
The budget, the money's still there, but as far as the budget goes, if we want something to carry over from one year to the next, we have to budget for that.
But I thought we had a conversation in our last, budget meeting on this, on the budget amendments, that we wanted to go ahead and allocate, the money for projects.
Allocating is one thing, but carrying it over. is
but what you're
different.
doing here is transferring an asset to a budgeted
Yeah.
expenditure.
I don't care how it's put down on paper, y'all tell me how you want it, we'll do it that way.
We're not objecting to carrying it forward or accumulating more.
No,
It's,
I agree, no.
it's, this figure is inflated for budget purposes for an annual budget.
I understand.
And I know what you're
I'm
trying
saying
to-
is
I know
just
what
tell
you're
me how you
trying-
want it done, and I'll do it that way.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to illustrate, and I understand that too, Charlie. And I don't know that I could, as long as we know it and understand it, I can live with it.
Well, what you don't have the benefit of on this, because it wasn't written, you should have it on the Excel spreadsheet that you got, is the notes out next to it.
Yeah.
On the Excel spreadsheet, next to the $600,000, it actually says that 300,000 of this was carried over from 18 and 300,000 added from 19. So, there is explanation on here, it just didn't make the cutoff for a piece of paper here, for a hard copy.
Well, part of that is that it's really not allocated, for what's the word, modern word, or CPA word, encumbered money. It's not dedicated.
In my mind,
It's just a balance, and we could have a
It's a
balance.
savings account.
in my mind,
It's
the money
really
that's swimming
a way
pool,
of thinking of it.
I think of is encumbered.
Well, I would do the same for the courthouse maintenance.
Exactly.
I understand that it's dedicated, but it's not
Restricted funds in the law sense.
restricted, maybe is the word we use, okay.
It's set aside, I guess you could say.
I see what y'all are saying.
Yeah.
I believe that the way we've got it here explains it more clearly than if we tried to go back and separate everything out.
So here's my
If you
question.
have access to the notes.
Here's the question. We're balancing this against annual revenue.
Annual revenue plus an amount brought over from reserves.
So you are doing it on both sides of the equation.
Yeah, remember when we looked over it on the revenue side and it showed funds coming over, and then over here.
Yeah, it just seems odd to me, but, okay.
That's actually the way, I'm pretty sure we did it last year. In fact, I think we've done it that way every year.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I need to ask a question on Parks and Recreation capital budget. Kevin came to me, and he's not here, a couple of months ago, and asked me for prices on converting the multi-purpose field at Clear Creek Ball Field to a parking lot. And I'm gathering that that didn't make the cut.
We did not.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
There's a lot of things in there that didn't make the cut that, you know, we really, really would like to have and need to have. But the, you know, the money runs out at some point, and that's when, you know, things stop. Now, these are choices that I made as to what to eliminate. Y'all can come back and say, no, I'd rather eliminate this and not this. That's, you know, that's the point of this meeting, for the most part. But, however we do, enough has got to come out that we meet this number here.
Right.
Speaking of park and rec, let me understand the difference on this one between renovations on Fish Park and renovations to Fish Park restrooms. One we took out, but we didn't take the other one out.
Let me get back to,
Down on
Parks and
park
Rec.
and rec. The 10,000 there.
Parks and Rec, okay. Well,
And
the renovation to Fish Park was going to be primarily for that playground that's there. And that playground can go another year as it is. The renovations to the Fish Park restrooms are desperately needed. Those things are bad.
So this is the playground.
That was a Fish Park renovation is for the playground.
Gotcha, that's what I didn't know. Okay. So the 10,000 is there.
So I kind of felt like, you know, that could go for another year, but those restrooms, the condition that they're in.
Well, 8 million is a big number. 4 million is a big number.
Well,
But
the 8 million,
that's obviously a need, certainly.
the 8 million accounts for the $4 million for the 19 debt service. But we also, before we start spending any money, have to make sure we fund it the 2020 debt service payment. So if you'll notice up here, there's $12 million total. But we're subtracting $4 million for the 2019 debt service. We're also setting back $4 million for the 2020 debt service because
Should do one.
the biggest part of it in March of 2020. But we don't want to, when we do the budget for 2020, we don't want to spend money on anything until the debt service is already taken care
So
of.
it's kind
So that's
of
what this is all about.
sort of a contingency for 2020.
Sort of, but I would argue that it is
Yeah.
earmarked specifically for that.
Yeah.
We can't, and in fact, according to the terms of this lawsuit, we can't spend any money on anything until we've secured the debt service money.
As it should be.
Exactly.
We-
So that's why out of the 12,528,000, 8 million has been subtracted for the 19 and 20 debt service, which left us with 4,528,045 is actually what we had to spend.
Yeah.
And the request was about twice.
Double that.
Yeah.
If we end up with some funds in the M&O side, will we allocate some of them to some,
You can utilize M&O funds for capital.
but you can't go the other way.
You cannot go the other way.
So what was our capital number last year for 2018? Sorry, it was,
Keep in mind that last year, we still had some,
we had some
Any
leftover.
funding money.
Yeah, we had some leftover.
as I recall, last year, the amount that we spent on capital was in the $6 million range. That's just off the top of my head. And I can get that for y'all, I can email you the final.
That sounds about right. Because I think the number 1.4 million savings,
That was roughly the amount of
Around
bond
50.
refunding money that we had. That we no longer have.
sounds about right.
And if we do decide to utilize any M&O contingency money on the capital side, that would be something that I would feel like would be maybe a good use for the $500,000 savings that we got. I just would not want to spend that on anything that commits
That
more
carries
than a
over.
year out.
Yeah, right.
And that's wisdom.
Well, I will say one thing that I'm more pleased than not, and that is that we've got over $1 million in road department in capital. And
I did try to concentrate.
We
here.
are, we are. That's, to me, that's our priority, and I'm glad to see that that number's bigger than the rest of it.
Solid waste and the road department, I'm very grateful, John.
Because I think that's a need, and we're trying to catch up still, so that makes me happy with this part of it. I would like to, I know the tax commissioner's not here this year. I really, really have a big concern that her numbers are not going to cover what her problems are going to be with the new system.
Now, we put in $35,000.
I know, but that's not a lot.
No, but that was the state's estimate of the cost.
That's what worries me.
And
That's what
Becky's
worries me.
estimate.
But that's just my feeling.
That was Becky's estimate too, but she went out and got prices, what she did. But I don't know what else to go by.
No, I don't either, but we may end up having.
Well, we may have to.
So if we do, we do, but that's my only real concern.
Yeah.
But I do want to keep, and we've got the items in here for the courthouse maintenance that I know the building authority was asking for, and that's covered it up. I think that's proper and right. We do need that extra $100,000 for this year to keep it going, because there's going to be more things, so that's good for me.
And
I'm really not going to pick on a whole lot of things in this one.
and in the animal shelter, I did convert cash purchase of the animal control truck to a lease.
Yeah.
How much was the air pack and the turnout gear again, Sandy?
I've got to look at your church
The air pack and the turnout gear was that. The air pack was, the air pack replacement, and I think this was for 30. It was
210,000.
210,000, and then the turnout gear was 50,000.
Yeah. You and I agree.
I have a hard time eliminating both of those entirely. I wish we could be part of that this year.
Okay.
I would only do that if we swap something else out of the fire.
Well, let me ask you this. Do we have any of the fire department folks here today? Yes, the most obvious thing to me, if we wanted to do that, would be to take out a new ambulance for 19 and to
Move it 1 year.
Go 1 year without buying a new ambulance.
From what I understand.
And that wouldn't
about
fund
this-
both of those?
I understand, and I'm not saying all of it,
Yeah.
just get part of it now, but
Yeah.
this is personal protection for human beings in dangerous situations, and what it's replacing is quite old.
Yeah, they do have a life. They do.
I would note though that we asked Tony to prioritize what he wanted. And this was.
This is in order.
This is in order of how Tony prioritized it. So if we take the ambulance out and put something in down below that, and we're essentially overriding what Tony had said he wanted his priorities to be. Now, I don't know if that means that the existing turnout gear.
He prioritized it verbally when he was in here. Is this the prioritization, or this not just the way it's listed? Because
No,
it's
no.
This is, I listed them in order of his priority.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did the same on Jim's.
And the only thing I didn't figure on that is that maybe the turnout gear and everything he deemed
One more year.
one more year would work for it, but this is his priority. Yeah, same thing with Jim. Jim prioritized his too.
Sheriff, I think
We're all under one.
this is where we were when you were here talking, I think. I don't think we had any change, did we, on that?
We did not have any change to the sheriff's office
That's,
and the capital side budget.
I mean, I know we took a truck or two out or something.
Well, I had already had a
Yeah,
conversation
okay.
with Stacy before we had our initial meetings,
Yeah.
and he agreed to take 4 vehicles out for 19. So,
Now, I know,
appreciate that.
Linda Stu had, she's coming back, and she had some questions about her capital, which which is another discussion we need to have. That's the only thing I've got left over, Charlie.
Let's see, Linda's city capital.
Yeah,
Clerk court. Oh, the computer upgrades.
I don't know if that's the number she's talking about.
I don't think we changed that number, did we?
No, it was 9,000 originally.
What was her discussion about she couldn't use her money though?
Something about going.
Oh,
paper.
it was the, connections, the, Ethernet connections going to her mainframe, wasn't it?
I don't know.
What you mentioned this
That's,
morning.
I need her, that's the only, I don't know.
Or we should
She
get
can't
it.
purchase the laptops with her money that she's receiving from the real estate file.
They're dedicated.
They're dedicated to the deed.
So I don't know if we're covered on her.
Yeah, she is using computers for the terminal, I think, for the
Well, the figure I have down here is what she requested, I did not know it.
That it may be okay.
So, well, yeah,
We'll
we'll
confirm.
check that with her.
Other than that, I'm not gonna talk about capital.
Okay, we can, when Brenda Sue gets here, we can check with her on this line item. Other than that, y'all good to start with M&O? Okay, for the most part, what you see here is what came out of the first meeting. The Commissioner's Office salary line item changed because of the things we discussed about giving the raises to the people there. Hey, do we have a question? On the capital budget for the clerk of court, the only item that we're showing is courtroom computer upgrades, and the figure that we have is $9,000. Is that what?
That's what I went to get that. I forgot to put it in his folder. Well, when I figured out it's 98.31, like the total cost.
So, Sandy, if you'll make 98.31, I would say if necessary, we just bring down all the three. All right, so let's see, moving,
I'm making real-time
Yeah,
changes.
she's got the system.
I can't depend on my memory, so when I get back in there after all this discussion.
okay, I'm gonna have to go by memory on some of this because,
I have
I was
the,
relying on my notes.
I'm sorry, I can help you out with the notes, because I've got them on my
Okay.
version here.
So wherever you see, what I did was when I changed a number on a line item, I went over a couple columns and put the original number in there, and that didn't print. So, Sandy, if you can see if there were board commissioners other than salaries, any other changes?
Let's see.
If so, there would be an entry in that couple of columns over.
Salaries.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to scroll back and forth, because I'm used to my big screen.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing.
Okay. Repairs and maintenance
They
vehicles.
probably should.
Let's see.
$500 in food was when we all get together and
That is for
Hosting,
when I'm
salary,
hosting
pay,
the other, yes, yeah, that's what
Looks like repairs and maintenance vehicles went from 500 down to 250.
that is. Yeah.
And then,
is there a note beside this?
on the
She's
I've
got
got notes on
Oh,
my
did you
version.
have one?
Now, that was,
I know.
is that the change I made, or was that? did
That was
come
one
out
that you
of-
made.
Okay, so is there a column that's got a 500 over there?
Yes. It went from five
That's how
hundred
you
back
tell.
up.
Doesn't show up on
It
here.
just-
Yeah, it just doesn't, show. I can send y'all
You can't
that.
scroll over and see it?
Oh, way over, okay.
Yeah.
Let's make that column small.
Do you see it though? Okay.
You
No,
might
what
hide
column are you
the-
talking about?
hide the column.
It's
where
column
it is.
Q.
Scroll over.
Well, it was way over.
It was easier to do Q when I was on my big wide screen.
Yeah, that's
Right,
not
and
fair.
it's, yeah.
I don't see it, but that's okay.
You'll have to scroll away.
It comes after P.
Column Q.
Column Q.
Okay, but now that's all the changes to the board of commissioners,
Postage.
Postage went from, yeah, 20.
Oh,
right? Now, the changes that I made on things like that, I made based on looking at the 2017 actuals.
Contract services went down, and gasoline.
So, should be down too much. yeah.
200.
But contract services went down $7,000. Postage down.
But if you look at the 2017 actuals and the projections, that should be more in line with those figures than what was plugged in.
Yeah. Q.
Was it after P?
Q.
Oh, okay. Voter registrar. I don't recall any changes to the voter registrar.
There weren't any.
Tax commissioner. Again, I don't recall any changes to the tax commissioner.
There weren't.
But since you have access to Q, you can.
There may be a different letter.
No,
I
she.
think it's Q on everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Tax assessors. I don't recall any changes to the tax
I
assessor.
think there was one
What's it?
for $500 on maintenance, repairs and maintenance vehicles and equipment. Went from, you actually increased it 500, from 2,000 to 2,500.
That's right, because, you know, we had to do a budget amendment this past time because they lost the transmission and ran out of money pretty quickly in that particular line item. And even though they get one new vehicle, they still got a bunch of old ones. So I did update a little bit.
That was the only change on that.
Okay, unless y'all stop me with questions, I'm going to kind of move on through here. Board of Assessors should have no changes. Courthouse maintenance. Did he perk up? No.
It's very timely.
Tax
You want
commissioners.
to look in line and
There was a change with the, as far as the 4 housekeepers positions,
Yeah.
just on the couple of changes on the salary lines, but nothing else.
I don't see anything here. That show up on your, oh, but they're red.
Oh, the ones in
Yeah, I
red
see
are the
them in red.
changes that
Those
we
are
had
the
earlier
earlier
made at our
changes.
first meeting, so. So that's not necessarily something that I changed later. Superior Court expenditures, we had to cut real deep.
I know it's warm in here, but
Oh, shut that. Mine? Where's the one?
I don't recall any changes to
There
Superior
weren't.
Court.
Sorry about that.
I don't recall any changes to juvenile court.
Can I make a comment on Martha Judicial? Just
I'm
because.
just positive.
You're here in public.
Let me back up a little, you make
No,
whatever.
That's the question, that's a yes or no
We-
answer.
Our total budget this year, and I don't know about what it is next year, but this year, we're about 13% that covers all the judicial part of our government. That number keeps going up, and I say the same thing to the sheriff. The percentage of the pie each year goes up, and someday we're going to have to come to reckoning of that. And I don't know if there's an answer. Can you help me with any thoughts of the future? And I'm not arguing about this year's budget at all. I really want to hear. We cannot sustain what we see happening in the
Some of the
judicial.
things that's outlined in expenditures in both the juvenile and superior court is actually monies that we collect as part of fines. So I was looking at my budget, it's actually what you would give to us is about 70,000 less than that. When you see where it says the SAP fund or the victim assistance program, they put it in as expenditure, but there's the revenue actually comes from fines that we collect. As far as being able to predict the superior court budget, basically has remained about the same for the last couple of years. Some things have increased, transcripts and court reporters. And in juvenile court, because of the number of parental termination hearings, we've added mediation, trying to see if we can resolve some of those through mediation, and also it's increased transcripts and court reporter fees, because those things must be taken down because they are automatically appealed, and a lot of those are coming back not just to our circuit but across the state of Georgia. So that's why we're going to mediation in juvenile court. So what we're trying to do in both superior and juvenile court is find other ways other than the courtroom to resolve issues. We have had more serious defendants in the last couple of years. I was looking at for a long period of time, we never used to use all of our juror scripts, did we going to sue, but because of certain cases that almost always go to trial, that including aggravated child molestation, armed robbery, and murders, most of those are going to go to a jury trial because they're, the mandatory sentences. So I was noticing in our budget, comparing it to a couple of years ago, those expenses have gone up. I would love to tell you that people are going to stop committing crimes, but if I told you that, I don't think it would be true. What we are trying to do is to put more people into our accountability courts. And of course, most of the money that funds those courts come from grants that we receive from the state as well as the federal government.
From my standpoint, budget-wise though, I see public defense increasing a lot, and that's a factor of our economy maybe or whatever. I see that. I see the district attorney having to spend more effort and more people and more things. That's increasing. I mean, it's not just the court room and the court and your side. There's the whole combination of judicial is really what I'm looking at as a whole.
What we've actually seen is a decrease in our civil side, but an increase in the number of criminal cases that we have, and that has a lot to do with 515. People coming from Atlanta, Marietta, coming up here. Most of our armed robberies are not committed by individuals that live in Fannin or Gilmer or Pickens counties. They are committed by citizens that come through Pickens, Fannin, and Gilmer counties. And so those individuals must stay in our jails. We usually don't grant bonds to those types of cases. And those are the type of cases I just mentioned that they're asking for jury trials, and certainly under our Constitution, they're entitled to jury trial. And as far as public defender, I mean, if they want an attorney and they fill out the financial applications, and Judge Kincaid usually handles those, and we do it that way so that when they're swearing to that application, hopefully they're telling the truth. And frankly, in looking at a lot of our individuals in our courtrooms that are using the public defender, I don't see that we have a lot of individuals that's using that, frankly. Now, what we do try to do is that once they are convicted or plead guilty because of felony, we require them as part of their sentence to repay the county $500 for felonies, $300 for misdemeanors, and because that is restitution, that is collected first. So we try to do that in order to get some money back for the county. but the court system is never going to be a money-making
Oh, no.
process.
It better not.
It's just not that way. But I think if you look at the overall superior and juvenile court budgets, we really, I think there's what, like a 2.5% in the juvenile, and that budget, and that's a lot to do with the mediation and court reporters and transcripts, and in certainly Denver County, we use, usually every court day, we have an interpreter here. Now, we're not required to do that in Fannin or Pickens, but in this particular county, on most criminal court days, including probate and other courts, we must have a certified interpreter here to interpret for the court.
All I'm saying is that when I look at judicial plus public safety, and we're spending 62% of our budget on that portion of our budget, that's a big chunk of the pie.
You're including what? Sheriff's Department, all of those?
Yeah, everything, fire, sheriff,
Oh, okay.
judicial, all those pieces. It's a big chunk, and we don't have money to spend to fix our bridges, and fix our mudslides, and fix our roads, and a few other things, that getting on with the buildings. And so it's a struggle for
Well, I
how we
understand.
prioritize. That's all I'm making a point, and I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
And I'm going to say that same thing for public safety and.
Well, I don't mind if you jump on Stacy.
It is.
And, don't want to show disrespect, but I have people, I'm having hearings on motion to suppress. May I be excused and really Angela here in case you have any other questions, but I.
Just leave your pocketbook and go.
Okay. Well, I'm glad it's a small one. But I don't mind staying, but they're waiting for me, so.
Thank
If
you.
you have any other, if you think of something, I'm upstairs, just call me and I will come back.
Okay. So clerk of Superior Court, I believe is where we are. Sandy, I'm just going to ask you to look at line Q and tell me whenever I change it.
Did.
Most times I did. Board of Equalization, don't think there's anything that's changed there. I don't believe magistrate was changed. Probate court, I think, was unchanged. Elections and election expenditures. You have anything there?
I think so.
Now,
No.
district attorney expenditures. I'm gonna make the same confession now. When we first started moving with these, I sort of confessed that the DA's budget confuses me no end.
Yep.
And since then, I have tried to become unconfused, unsuccessfully. I'm still very much confused with just how this is all broken out, what it is we're getting or not getting. And because I have no idea what I'm looking at, I didn't make any changes. The big ticket item seems to be reimbursable salary and wages. And that's up about $100,000. Now, my recollection from our initial session was that there needed to be 3 additional ADAs, 1 for each county. I have met with Stan and Rob, from other 2 counties, and we've all agreed that we're willing to do 1 additional ADA, split it 3 ways, not necessarily 3, 1 for each county. Now, where I'm at a bit of a loss is how to put that here.
That would not be reimbursable.
No, this would be, as it was originally proposed, this would simply be a county expenditure. But what the three of us decided when we met was that we, you know, our feeling was, instead of a total of three, one funded by each county, that we were willing to do one deal instead of three loads.
So 1/3 of additional ADA is on the reimbursable.
I believe that would be reimbursable because we would be reimbursing PAC for that individual. Prosecuting attorney's, prosecuting attorney's counsel, we would be reimbursing PAC for that additional person.
Okay, but the money
So it
still-
would be a reimbursable.
But the money still comes from us.
Well, it is included in that reimbursable salary and wage line. That additional person would be, or is.
So, I don't understand.
Well, there's $100,000 more there.
Yeah.
I don't see that as being 1/3 of a person.
That is included in that line is their salary, their social security, their Medicare, their retirement, their health insurance, anything that we reimburse PAC for that person.
But what Charlie was saying, and I agree, we went from 290,000 to 389. Why? It's not 1/3 of a DA, I hope.
No, that is actually, they requested, like Charlie was saying, they requested one additional ADA for each county. So that 389,000 would include one person.
In our case, this includes one full-time person funded by us. So what we need to do is,
We divide this by
It has
three.
It has not been
What you're
adjusted
after.
because we don't know.
so what we have to do is figure out if, and rather than funding a person completely, what would 1/3 of that be? We need to back the difference out of this
I
389.
would make it 30,000.
In addition to what was there,
Right, be up from where it was,
Okay,
298.
so
320.
320 would be, then, well, now,
No,
would that cover benefits and everything, though, you think, Sandy?
Make it 325.
well, the increase here, which included both, was 89,000. Actual increase.
I would say, I like
99, I'm
325.
sorry, 99.
It's not enough.
So take 99 divided by 3, that's what we'll use,
35,000.
35.
What was the old number?
290.
There you go, 325.
325. All right, so
I
let's
agree.
make this, the 389, let's make that 325. And then whatever that, the excess there will increase the contingency line by that amount, to make it balance out.
For now, you park it.
For now, park it again.
35,
You have to take out that.
What was that, 35?
Yeah, well, it would make that line 325.
For the,
Yeah, plus 35.
You just gotta remember that.
yeah. Okay, you've got the note for the 800 and some dollars extra for clerk of court, I think it was.
Yes.
That's gotta come out.
So what we want to do is, when we subtract this from the 389, subtract the 800 something additionally from that, whatever's left, put it back in the contingency, and everything should balance out. Okay,
Yeah, right.
that work for everybody for the DA?
That works.
And that is in line with the other two counties too, compensations. I don't remember any changes to public defender. Sheriff's office. I did make one change to the sheriff's office. And it's under ammunition. Oh, I've got my, okay, $25,000 is what's been requested for ammunition for a number of years, but 30 is what's spent. And I want this to be a realistic budget. 25 was requested this year, but I bumped it to 30. Because if that's what can be spent, that's what I'd like to see budgeted. And that was the only change that I made to the sheriff's office.
Stacy, you're here. We haven't had our conversation, we haven't been able to hook up. Are you gonna be able to patrol Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think we can, Travis. I still think we need to sit down and talk about realistic, expectations, and maybe some, and what's being what you're looking for. Yeah, I believe we can do some of that.
The main thing is breaking the cycle of the alcohol use on the river. That's the main complaint I hear from you.
I've actually put a lot of, well, I'm not going to lie to you and say I've put a lot of thought. I have put some thought into it, preparing for an impromptu meeting with you and I about some thoughts that I've got about what we can do about that situation.
I think it won't take a lot to break the cycle, get the word out, but the residents will appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, well, we're still going to talk to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so moving to the detention center. I did make one change to the detention center, and that was on the salary and wages line item. I reduced the salary and wages line item by $41,214 for a new total of $975,235.
Say that again.
The salaries and wages from the detention center.
Right, I'm there.
Currently, the requested, or the budget item for that is $975,235. That represents a reduction of $41,214 from the original request.
Which is 1,000,000.
16,449. Right.
Yeah.
That seems like a specific figure that you go over had, or?
It includes
No, what I did,
benefits, I think.
what I did was,
It should.
I did a quick calculation on the percent increase, and the percent increase on that would have been a 15% increase, and I felt that 15% was more than we could sort of do. So I plugged in a lower percentage, and that's how I got that.
Okay.
What's line 35?
It's still bumping it up.
Yeah,
It's still an increase, yeah.
Right, right.
And I think it's pretty substantial,
Right.
but it's just not.
Well, that's the insurance issue.
Yeah, that's what that should.
Okay. What line are you talking about?
No, it's good.
Oh, okay.
Charlie, there was one that
One
was
down,
Was there
line
one that-
75.
on utilities.
Okay, the utilities was just
$2,000.
based on looking at the 17 actuals and the projected 18. I felt that the figure that was plugged in could be reduced some. And that's nothing more than just looking at past experiences. Probation is something that's new for us as a budget item. I don't recall making any changes to that.
That includes one officer and one assistant, I believe.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And 1/3 of the chief.
And a third. Right, right.
Yeah, this one's in there, so.
Fire department, Sandy, did I have any queue entries for the fire department?
There was one in overtime, from 285 to down to 235.
That's right. I just felt that the overtime estimate was high. I know it was put in there because we were talking about going to a 40-hour week for paramedics. But I just felt that, that particular figure that was plugged in was a little high, a little excessive.
Does that affect your benefits line?
Just on the social security and Medicare.
But that should already be reflected.
It is, I adjusted them.
Oh, you did?
Because I gave all these to Sandy before, so she could do her.
Yeah, all the social security and Medicare lines should be adjusted.
Okay, including that.
So anytime I say I've changed the salary line out of
That
there,
happens too.
you can assume that all the way down the line it got changed.
Okay.
Now, there was,
So
a
there's several
change,
down here.
yeah, there's a change on travel and expense from 8,000 down to 6,000.
Well, and as I recall, that was based on actual past experience. I felt that 8,000 was a little excessive because we were looking at 4415 for 17 actual, and even the 18 projection was just 5614. So I felt that 8, unless there was some specific change, and there wasn't any that I was aware of, that we could drop it to 6,000.
The next one was education and training from 20,000 down to 10,000.
And it's the same thing, the 17 actual was 7436, projected for 18 was 8180. I didn't see a reason for $20,000 to be there. So I felt that 10 was just a more appropriate number.
You know, volunteer firefighters, 32,000 down to 30,000.
Seems like we talked about that training. But I don't recall specifics.
On education? I don't recall.
I recall us talking about paramedic training, but I don't think we actually got to the point of funding it. I think what we did was we moved it from 40-hour overtime week
Yeah.
in order to entice more paramedics to come here rather than doing the trainings.
Maybe that's what.
Now, this is, of course, our best guess for right now, and there'll be lucky reminders that'll come along. And so if there's something that I back out, I shouldn't have, we can readdress it. But for now, I didn't see $20,000 in there.
On the volunteer firefighters from 32,000 down to 30,000.
And that was just, again, based on past actuals.
Clothing from 25,000 down to 20,000.
The 17 actual was 18,000. Now, the projected for 18 was 28,000, but that's one of those things where I don't think you can make a straight line projection.
Right.
And we're currently setting it, at least as of the day of these figures, at 16,000, so I felt that 20 would be a more appropriate figure.
Supplies and materials, 90,000 down to 87,000.
Again, based on the 17 actuals and the projections for 18.
That's all I know.
Okay, emergency management. I don't believe I made any changes to that. Can you verify that for me, Sandy?
No, they're running.
Corridor expenditures, there should not be any there. Animal shelter expenditures, I did make a bit of a change to the salary and wages line there in order to give Daniel a raise.
Not at all.
I ain't gonna give them that lawnmower.
Okay.
Shirley said that.
Well, I don't think they're hurting for it right now.
Right, but I cleared it out with the.
Okay, good.
That's a done deal.
Well, we appreciate it. Okay, road department. Sandy, did I do anything in the queue line yet for the road department?
Some of this was in figured.
There was an adjustment
We
on
did
the,
that early.
Let's see, we've done, detention and sheriff. You interested in 911?
I'll wait.
We'll do that. We'll do that one next.
The only thing on the road department was on the traffic striping.
Oh, yeah. The traffic striping, I think you put in 10,000 and I made it 30 because I'm tired of hearing people call me and saying, you got to stripe.
I understand completely.
What about line 71, Sandy, or just a note, no travel?
That, Charlie had put that note out to decide on education and training,
It was a
had no
question.
travel.
It was a question that I had, because there wasn't,
You have any?
All of the education and training that we do in the road department is actually done on site, and that's primarily our blue card certification through EPD and our flagging school.
and that
You don't have
was,
hotels.
So we don't have hotels or.
and that was a note that I made to myself that I probably
Yeah.
should have removed, because, the total for education training is 500, so 100 for travel. Not that there's a question
Not
mark.
much.
Yeah.
You don't go very
I just
far.
wanted to make sure that there were no hotel rooms.
This traffic strike, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to 911 right quick.
It's gonna be probably toward the end of your, last.
E911.
You're running.
No
No
changes?
changes.
Can I ask,
No changes.
this year, are we getting closer to having a new modern E911 or whatever the new term is for the text?
And the
911 stuff.
Probably as soon as we fund it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think that we're at that point. No, we're not at that point yet.
The enhancements that they talk about down the line, okay, just wanted to get an understanding.
Right. Can I make 20 seconds or less?
Certainly.
I think this is not completely gratuitous. I do want to say thank y'all for looking at I'm not talking about everybody else, I'm talking about my budget request this year. I know there's a lot of stuff in it, and it's a big chunk of money, it's a big chunk of the county's budget, I understand that. I know y'all are aware that we had to shoot a suspect last night, and I'm gonna tell you something. I could go down the list and tell you how my budget, how each, not every line, but many line items in that budget affected how well that went last night to have to do what we did. Now, it could have been a lot worse. We had a suspect that was basically planned ambush on my officers, and from everything down to the money we spend with the county attorney looking at policies with mutual aid agreements between us and the city governments, the backup that was out there, the telephones that we provide our officers, the training most especially, the bullets, the ammo. Now, we didn't shoot 30,000 rounds out there, just about 25,000. But everything that goes into my budget a lot of it came to fruition last night, and it ended very well for us. It could have been a lot worse. And I just want to tell you, I'm going to get out here before you have a chance to say anything else. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
All right, where were we? Solid waste. The changes, and I did make a change to the road department too on this. In the road department, right now, Jim's salary is spread between, well, solid waste. Right now, Jim's salary is spread between road department, solid waste, and airport. On those three line items, I split out prorated, the rates for him. So that was the only change. I figured
That is greatly appreciated. I did, and I didn't ask for that.
But I
But
wanted
you
to
didn't get
make
a lot
sure.
of stuff you did ask for.
Well, I understand that. It's part of the process.
But I wanted to be sure to mention that. I don't know of any other changes that were made to solid waste. Bus transportation expenditures, no changes.
Maintenance shop, I think you have some changes, Sherman.
We already passed maintenance shop.
He's going, it's a different order.
Oh.
I'm
I'm sorry, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, in the booklet, I
I've
thought
been
the
jumping
order of the
around.
summary page.
Oh, sorry, I thought they were all the same.
I'm looking at online because I can see your cues.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
should have brought mine in, it had occurred to me, I would change it.
That's what you call it from now on, cues.
Huge, yeah. Okay, parks and recreation. Salary line item change to give Kevin some increase. I don't know, was there anything else in the queues?
Just on the salary line.
Electricity.
Okay, that would have been based on the 2017 actual.
So, line 41.
Okay, so
Let
electricity,
me double check. Seems high.
It went from 56,000 down to 40,000, which, if you annualize where we were in August, it only comes out to 32,000.
Last year it was 30. This year it
Last year-
annualizes to 32.
Last year, the budget was 42.
well, we were
But I'm
projecting
talking about
the,
actuals. I think.
we were projecting additional though because of the swimming pool.
Good point.
But not 56,000 worth, so I bumped it down to 40.
I see what
So,
you
Now, that should be reimbursed, but we still have to
No, you
account for
got
it.
it. You got expensive, I understand.
but line 41, of course, you're going to remember the salary and wages. Is there more to that than Kevin's wage?
Salary.
Kevin's is on.
Oh,
line
yes,
up.
we also added an additional employee.
I started to say, that's pretty good rate.
No, this is, Kevin tells me that he doesn't need it, but he does. He needs another person.
Just trying to make sense of the number.
Yeah, well, hopefully that clears. Okay,
And then something is on line 83.
which is what?
That's good.
That's the electricity.
Oh, that's it. So we talked about it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Planning and zoning. We got some salary increases in there for everybody. Did we make changes? No, we were good on the travel and training right here.
Yes.
So I know we discussed that.
Like the salary line's the only thing that changed.
Just, there shouldn't be any more changes.
What is that number?
Let's see, salary and wages
208.
plan was 208,560.
Okay, I didn't have any.
And then administration was
No.
45.
Okay.
Code regulatory compliance, I think the only change on that was to give James a bump.
And
Was there anything else?
on the professional services, from 15,000 down to 10,000, which would be
Okay, that's based on the
attorneys and such.
2017 actual and projected. I felt 10 was a more appropriate figure there.
This is an unrelated question, but it just struck me right here. Did we make any changes in the revenue side that you did that
We have not made any changes.
tweaked from the other one? Okay.
No, no changes for revenue from the other.
Seemed like we looked at that pretty close when we went
Yeah.
We did. I got any queues in the airport,
Now,
50 cents on that.
okay, a little bit of an increase for the guy out there, and also, the, small portion of his salary that's put into the airport.
That's all on mine.
Health partially, that's what it is. Made one change under miscellaneous. We have had a food line item under the senior center at $5.50 for a number of years. Haven't actually used it, and it was taken out this time. For $5.50, I felt like I'd like to have it back in there because we really ought to do something for those folks. So I put $5.50 back in there.
It's, I'm walking in late on it, but I think like one of the reasons, and I may be wrong, that it hasn't been spent over the years is it's a fine line of it being considered as food, which y'all prohibited from doing. And that may have been one of the previous tools, didn't necessarily, I think we talked about it. This is the, and it's just simply been left in the budget, but
If there's a question about spending it, then we'll just take it back out.
The senior center?
Yeah.
not for Meals on Wheels or that, it's not related.
No, this was, I think, what I was told originally
It was staff.
we would kind of have a big dinner for them or something once.
Or if they do like Thanksgiving dinner or something, we'll not.
I knew there was some repairs that was needed out there.
Yeah, that's coming out of separate, but,
Okay.
and ideally, those will be in the 18, done in 18, not 19.
I would take it out, try it.
Okay, so if you would take it out, we would adjust our contingency.
The 550.
550, yeah. I don't have anything, I don't recall anything for the library. Or for the extension agents.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question about the library? Remember the conversation that we had about doing the landing and the drive, the rear?
There's $10,000 in capital.
Oh, that's in capital.
Yeah.
So, I need to know.
Should we talk about hotel motel?
Let's see, I think we're at that point. Yeah, before we do hotel motel, let's do real quick the golf course, and that'll lead everything up to hotel motel. Which we probably should have done first, I apologize. I just started going through pages and all. It was very crass and I'm thinking of me, I apologize. The golf course wages, salary wages to give my clothes on, and I don't recall anything else.
That was it.
So now, hotel motel. I don't recall that I made any changes to hotel motel, so I'll just kind of throw it open for y'all's discussion.
I made some comments regarding the split, and the split was established back in '05, '06, and things were booming, and there weren't many collections, and it's grown, and there's been a lot of good work done. I believe it has come out of balance with the rest of our budget.
The cities don't get any of that, right?
Uh,
We get it all, and it was some of it.
We get it from the
chamber.
county,
No,
and
we-
the cities get it from the lodging facilities that are within the city limits.
All we collect on basically is cabin rentals.
But our number here represents what we get, we don't take any
Yeah,
of
the
this out.
city is
They
a
get
totally
their own.
separate thing.
Okay. Okay.
Well, it represents our portion and then, you know, the portion that we pay to the chamber,
Right.
that total.
But the portion paid to the chamber by
Well,
the city.
no, I guess my question is,
Yeah, that's, the
The
cities
600
do that.
the 600,000 is our revenue, and the cities get extra.
Yeah, this, cities are not represented in these figures.
And so we're, yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to be clear on that. I would agree with Travis that we're probably out of line as we've gone over time. And that's a reflection of the growth that we've had in this county. It's, tax, it grows and it grows as the economy grows. It goes down when the economy goes down, obviously, so. But I would tend to agree with Travis that our percentage is probably more than it needs to be. It's obviously, we know it's a lot more than the minimum that the state sets, we know that. I don't know about any other counties, I don't know their numbers or anything. And I have seen Travis asked Paige to provide some details. I haven't had a chance to look at them. I haven't dealt with them in detail. But it's hard, in my mind, to determine what the return on investment is. I just can't.
Well,
make that
I
happen.
think
I just don't know how to make that.
I think in a situation like this, it's always kind of hard to it's, you know, definitively figure what your return on investment is, but
Yeah.
I think it's just exceptionally important that we have a very, very strong chamber. I think we do that. And I wouldn't want to do anything to weaken them in any way. I think that, in my mind, the money is being put to good use. And, you know, for me, I would rather leave things where they are and let them.
The only change that I see in 2019 relative to the chamber is that we're basically offering them county property to open up another welcome center. And that to me is not reflected anywhere in the budget as a contribution the county is offering to the chamber. I mean, prime downtown on the square property that we don't have any compensation for, basically.
I think it's to our advantage to do that, though.
I don't disagree with that, but it is, to me, it's contrary to what we should be doing as a county. I mean, other locations, we do charge rent, and so there's a disparity there between those. But I'm saying that that's a counterbalance to we're offering something, but and
I'm going to have.
yeah, I know if we raise the rent, they take it out of their money, of course, so it's paying Peter to drop Peter to pay Paul.
Well, I've got to shoulder a little blame for this because when I first took office, and I was dealing with the little
Carriage house.
carriage house, which was at that time our welcome center. And I had this conversation with Paige way back then that my ultimate objective was I wanted to see the Watkins House be our welcome center because of its location and its unique structure. We have, if you come down on the weekends especially, weekdays too for that matter, but especially on the weekends, LJ kind of jump into place. And, you know, there's all kinds of people walking around. And I really believe having a fairly unique welcome center located just ideally where that one is very advantageous to us. And I sort of pushed the chamber that this is what I'd like to see. So,
And we're very honored to have the stewardship of that building.
And I don't have any problem with that being a welcome center at all, none at all.
And
That's an appropriate place.
I would say this
No
too,
question.
that in the coming years, and I haven't really discussed this with the chamber any, but in the coming years, if we can find the money to fund it without hurting ourselves anywhere else. I would seriously like to have a little bit of an addition to that building, which would be public restrooms. And externally have it, you know, the same architecture as the building and so forth. But I know we have restrooms a little further down on River Street. But with the volume that we have coming in there, if we could have some public restrooms right there, that off to the side attached to that structure, you know, to me, that would be a tremendous benefit. So, you know, I'm probably gonna be coming in the next, some point saying, you know, I'd like to allocate X amount of dollars for public restrooms there.
You know, there's restrooms on North Main too, I don't know if they're.
They're not, I've not known them to be open, and I don't know what the
What's up
problem
with
is
that?
with them.
I'm willing to support the city in putting restrooms in the city.
Well, of course, it's a county property. But, and that's a discussion for down the road. All I'm saying is that's kind of like the grand vision that I have for our building. But I do very sincerely believe that we should not cut their funding.
I disagree. I don't think it should continue to go to these levels when we have other needs. I disagree with it.
I would be willing to leave it, but I really want to have further talks. Paige, you do so much and you do a good job of what you do. All we're doing here is trying to figure out a way to help our budget. This has no reflection on that. It has a reflection on our budget, where we're at. So in priorities, it becomes, to me, it becomes a priority question. And that's where I'm coming from. I really think I would rather just have a long joint discussion about how we proceed in the future, because it's, and you've already planned a budget, I know we're basically on this for this year, understand that. But I do have the concern that we need a more solid, I think, way of going forward. Because there's a bigger need for things like you mentioned, Charlie, I agree with it. And not only Welcome Center, and restrooms, and museum questions, and other things related to what goes on in this area of the county or the city. So I would like to continue some other discussions about it. I'm probably not willing to join in and put a number to change right now. But I don't think we gotta discuss it.
Then what I would suggest is that we leave it as is for now, and you basically got another year to have whatever discussions that you'd like to have.
Right. And Travis, to be honest, I think our new commissioner will be a good dialogue person to understand where we're coming from and where we need to go. I mean, if I were to take money out of that, you know what I would do? I would go back and get our sign down to 515, the things that related directly or indirectly relate.
Well, we've got half the sign budgeted.
So there's things that we can do with that would help towards
10% reduction here to fund the other half.
And gentlemen, I think, I will not speak on behalf of my board, but I do believe that in the conversations we've had during the budget workshops, we do recognize that product development, the signage being part of that is something, and we are certainly willing to have that open dialogue and put it in our budget if we need to and things like that. So I think you'll find us very open to those conversations.
And that being the case, my personal preference would be to have that dialogue and cooperate with it rather than just to take it away from them and say we're going to use it for this.
I think I apologize.
Everybody, that sign has the potential to be a revenue generator, should be a revenue generator, if once in place. It's just the capital outlay that's got to be spent to put the sign in place. But while that piece of property is available, there is not a better location coming and going in the county for something of that nature, so.
That, what you got budgeted, you say half does not include the land.
I was thinking that, there was somebody that was planning to donate that for us. That's not the case.
No, it's the north end of the park that we
Trust.
listed.
Yeah, I know where it was.
But no, it's not a donation, they're expecting some payment, but they're agreeable to the transaction. But I didn't determine that. We don't need much out of them, I mean, our plan,
Yeah.
that's not in that figure. The hotel motel tax is the one item that has not been examined at any budget process since the economic tournament. It has never been scrutinized, it's never been adjusted, continues to grow. There are a lot of variables that go into its growth. The chamber is one of those variables, but not the only one. There's several others. I can't justify that current level of expenditure. I'm not seeing new businesses pop up. I'm not seeing new jobs pop up. I'm not seeing increases in sales tax to justify. So I've looked. It's hard for me to continue justifying more and more and more. As a business person, looking at it, and it is an economic decision, you made that point. That's all it is.
To me, the fact that there is more and more and more every year is an indication that we are bringing in more and more people every year because it's a percentage. It's not a flat rate that we're just raising every year.
With a lot of variables behind
Okay, well, I can do that.
I would generally agree with you, Travis. I guess my problem is I need to spend more time analyzing and doing what you've already done, probably just to feel good about making an intelligent change. And I agree, I think in my mind change would be good, but I don't want to make it arbitrarily or not having done my homework. I guess that's where I'm trying from.
Food for thought. If we put that sign down there and gave chamber control of it, of the content, and have a memorandum of understanding that allowed 20% of the display time to be devoted to commercial applications, and let you have revenue from it, that would offset some of this.
Yes, it would.
Brian, you had a comment?
Yeah, I want to say something, actually, as a member of the chamber and a small business in the county. Travis, first of all, I know how thorough you are, and I know you're coming from inside because at a time you've spent a year, you've been on the board, and you've been chairman of the chamber. So I know when you talk about it, I want you to know very thoroughly, I respect that you've been on the inside and you've seen it. Just a little note on your comment, and I know you didn't mean anything by you don't see new this or new that, okay? We started, Paige has been there 10 years, we've been in the county 9. We're up to 12 people, although it might not be exciting. We're up to 12 people. And I remember when we used to get 4,000 page views, and we were excited, and most of them was us, but we're this little website getting 10.5 million page views a month now. And I remember when we used to have 2 YouTube subscribers on our channel, and now we have 22,000. So don't take that wrong. Well, I didn't mean that, but I mean there has been some people in the county that's taken, I'll call it a chance on the old economy and stayed with the county, and it's growing. We're a member, and where I'm going with that, we're a member of 9 chambers now. We're a member of 9 chambers. I don't handle that side of the business, Lisa does. But I think you already know, our chamber is the envy of so many other chambers.
Don't dispute.
Huh? I know you wouldn't. I knew you wouldn't. I just wanted to make the comment. Okay. We are the envy, and I would love, I'd love for Lisa to come share some of them stories when she meets with them. And we're talking Lumpkin and all that, nothing negative to them, but all the way through North Georgia. That being said, financially, I can understand if the tick up has put money over that way, but like a county with a rainy day fund, we know that the economy can turn down just that fast. When the economy turns down just that fast, now all of a sudden, they don't have enough money to operate, and we got the, you know, do we advertise to try to get people to come back in, and where do we get the money? So maybe something can be done as a rainy day chamber fund, so they don't lose the funding now, that's high here. But if the economy goes down, they're not in here begging for the funding too, and we have a different set of commissioners that somebody's trying to convince at that time, hey, we need to raise our split back up. And you're the last person I got to convince of how competitive the other chambers are now. And I'm going to tell you, just since the 9 years since we started our business, these other chambers are competitive. I mean, they're spending the money begging people to come up to union and so on and so forth. So I want to say I don't disrespect where you're looking at. I understand 100% that you're very thorough on that, and you're coming from the inside understanding it. I would just like to see them keep the money, even in the split, even if it was, you know, something had to go over here for a rainy day fund, so that the chamber's not back here 4 years. Hopefully we'll never see that economy again, but 4 years from now saying, we need to, you know, we need to put a billboard coming out of Florida now, or whatever. That's all I just want to say, okay?
So of the 9 chambers that you're members, how many of them have our budget problems?
I don't disagree with you. That's why I said I know, and I want to be very clear that you understand from being over there as the chairman of the chamber and being on the board. That's why I do understand that. But at the same time, you know, I guess the only way I know how to put it, don't kill the golden goose, okay? Because it has been good. Maybe you don't see the businesses opening. Hey, you guys discussed that. Call a workshop. Throw it on the table, call a workshop.
We still got 5,100 people leaving the county every day to go to work.
I understand that. I'm not trying to, don't take that wrong. I'm just saying, I think there's been, the revenue is coming in because they get split out of the revenue. So the revenue has to be going up for their numbers to be going up. Whatever you guys do, okay, I'm just saying, I just don't want to be coming back asking, I see the 3 of you, and 3 of you are very rational, and I know Carlene's coming in, and I know 3 of you are very open to discussing and laying everything out. But we just don't know 4 years from now as a county, and we've lived through, okay, and we've lived through, and I'll say it on camera, no names, but we've lived through a chairman that we just could not get to understand that we needed to invest. So maybe you don't give it, maybe you give it to them, but a certain amount has to go in a contingency or so. I don't know, just saying. I said my piece, that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Brad. Well, I don't think that we're all going to agree on this here today. We're going to have to decide which way we're going to go forward. What I would propose would be that we not take a rash step on short notice. So I would propose that we leave this as is for now. In Dallas, you can have whatever we'll call special meetings. Anything you want to do, I'm sure Paige and the board would be happy to meet with you. And let's take our time.
I would like to do that, and I would like to also say to Travis that without your attention to it, I wouldn't even be spending brain cycles on this. It would be, I would not be aware, I would not be concerned or thinking about it. It wouldn't be on my radar very much, but I think you have raised that awareness to me that there's things we can do to make it more of a return on our investment. Not that we could do that. I'll give numbers real hard, but we can do something, and I'm willing to do that. I want to do that. It's like anything, when we have to prioritize, then we have to do that on some basis, and I want to have a good basis to do that. I personally think there is room to change that percentage. It will offer and still have a viable productive relationship, but I can't do that today without having more work, because I have to give it. And Travis, you raised that issue too, to me.
So my solution is to make the percentage 60%, which is about $60,000. Invest that in that sign. Then you got $40,000, basically. Give the control of the sign to the chamber for community promotion, but reserve 20 to 25% of the, I don't know what the term is, airtime, because stuff's scrolling, and let them lease that commercially. It's a good income source that will offset some of that. I don't know how much it would rent for it, but it would be significant money.
It's just redirecting the advertising, the majority of their funding is used for advertising, and it's just y'all, and I think you'll be assembling some of that and controlling it yourself. And having a public service announcement sign, when there's inclement weather coming, when there's special events, the Apple Festival, every special event that you can put on there, give it additional broadcast time, because other than the Department of Transportation signage that comes in about a week before the event, there's no real advertising that occurs in the most part. So I just think it's a golden opportunity, and I think the windfall from it will be much better received after you realize it.
If we can't fund the sign as we are, the installation, the operation, the land, if we can't do that, would the chamber be willing to split that cost with us to help, you think, at least talk about it?
So, absolutely. I will remind you that the conversation on the split and the way that our contract is written, we're actually talking about any reduction being in the 2020 budget. Our 2019 budget, we would have had to have been notified in January. I cannot speak on behalf of the board, but I think they would give me the leeway to say that we do think that gateway signage, it's been a part of our program of work and hopefully moving towards that from a branding perspective for a number of years now. So I think that you don't have to decrease the percentage or do whatever that is. If you say, hey, this is what we want, we will say absolutely and we will make it happen. And we would just put 60 or 75,000 or whatever it might need. If it can't be in 2019, we oftentimes do contingencies just as you do. And if it ends up being a 2020 and we need additional money, we can put money aside in 2019 as well. And then I think that relationship and that open dialogue can continue, that the next year you guys say to us, it is important to have restrooms in the Watkins House, or we want you to. I think, and I think the one thing with respect to Travis, the one thing that he has brought to light in the last 6 months, 9 months that we've been having these conversations is that, and I'll take some of that personally, is we have not done, and I mean me, have not done the best of job in communicating, and you all communicating back to us what your desires are for some of that money. And I think you'll find that dialogue, and obviously Carlene and I have worked together, and she knows our organization very well as well. So I think that, also to Brian's point, that we've got to change, and we know that to some extent, that percentage is not, and I have been saying this for years, that percentage is not going to continue to increase at double digit. We're starting to plateau. We only had a 6% increase last year. At some point, we will plateau, and that dollar amount may continue even if kept at 70%. But what we do to invest that money, even if it is in hardscape or projects, product development, trails, welcome center, whatever it is, I think those are the conversations that we're certainly open to moving forward.
And I would like to say too that, Travis, I completely understand where you're coming from. I do disagree, but honestly, there's not all that many places where you and I do disagree. So I want you to understand that. I do understand completely what you're saying. I would like for us to, and this page pointed out, we're contractually bound to 19 anyway. So,
Well, we don't have to renew it. It doesn't
no, but
have,
we have to give them notice if we're not going to renew it, and that notice date is passed.
if you're gonna change, you gotta give notice, but it does not have to be renewed. It can be done for 19, that's the only issue.
Well, I would not favor doing it for 19, and I know you and I differ on that, but like I say, we don't differ on all that much, but in this we do. My personal feeling is we should go forward with this and increase the dialogue that both Paige and Dallas have mentioned. My question is, do I need to make that in the form of a motion, or do we just agree to?
I think the budget will
It's
answer
the
that.
existing document.
Right. That being the case, are we ready to move
So
on?
how's the sign funded?
Well, we funded half of it, and they have indicated that they're open to discussing the remainder.
Open to discussing or,
I can't speak on behalf of the board, and you know that.
yeah.
I
Which is why I asked you to check last month.
The gentleman, I'm sorry?
At the last meeting, that's why I asked you to go ahead and check.
We're not prepared to make that commitment in firm right this moment, but we are committed to do whatever we can to adjust our budget to reflect that. But there's 15 other board members that I know cannot speak for either.
Well, I don't think we're going to break this impasse between us. I'm willing to make a motion if we need to, that we leave this and we'll see where that goes.
There's no need for a motion
No.
if it doesn't change.
No, no.
You only need a motion to change it.
Okay, well, is that something that you want to do?
I'm gonna say this one more time. The MOU that exists calls for a budget process and calls for regular detailed reporting. That has not been done. That has frustrated me beyond belief.
I understand.
You commingle funds, does hotel motel tax go into the same account as other sources of?
Yes.
income? I would ask that you not do that. You want to speak to that, David?
I didn't bring this up about 4 meetings ago. There was reference made that there were travel expenditures provided for a private business and enterprise out of the chamber's funds. And your money, public funds, get mixed into the general funds and are spent in that manner. That's an unlawful appropriation and can get all of you all in trouble as well, potentially them as well.
Once we give it to them, is it still our public funds, or does it not?
It's still your public funds because you entered into an arrangement and agreement. You've still got that agreement in control. So you've got that responsibility. You cannot just simply give it away and absolve yourself of the responsibility and say no longer is it public funds. You can do with it what you wish to, nonprofit organization. But yes, there were some travel expenditures that I heard and were brought up and
Disloaded with it.
yeah, if those can be very problematic, really are problematic, to be honest with you.
Would it be a problem to separate those funds?
You do it for Apple Festival, that's all separate. Even though you're getting revenue from it, you got a different set of books over there, right?
For the, yes.
Different-
It's a
different
separate
bank account.
entity. It files, the Apple Festival files a separate 990 as a separate board, a separate 501c3, or C4, I believe. So it has a separate checking account and all that. All of our revenues are filed on the same 990, but I still think we could keep them separate. And David, if you wouldn't mind, I'll call you and talk to you about that particular expenditure.
We can talk about it. I don't really want to be in a position where I'm under opinions to y'all on it because my
Yes.
client is here. But I'm.
And I think you'll just have to have a CPA deal with that, bookkeeping issue. But you're right, David, we do not need to be in a vulnerable position.
You know, it's got previous commissioners and told
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
beyond the.
So what would be included in those prohibited items? Give some examples.
Generally, a gratuity that's given or can be used in the county equipment in such a manner that it's for private purposes. And, or, you know, having county work staff doing stuff on private property. That tends to be it. The road, except, you remember I was telling y'all about the road, y'all can't lay a blade. I've seen a blade on private
But
road.
in this situation,
But that's a private company, or not
The
private.
public funds were used to provide transportation for a private individual, and probably in furtherance, not only in some furtherance of the chamber, but primarily in furtherance of their own private business, in which that's, you know, that's getting in a very scary area, to be honest with you. I didn't raise it and didn't mention it last time because I didn't want to bring it up, so to speak, but if y'all are talking about, really, these funds should be restricted funds, just like you, I mean, when got a grant, I know when Jim gets a grant and Sandy gets it, he documents and they go over everything.
It'd be crazy if I spent it.
In this situation, when y'all are given whatever the percentage is, which is 70% today, every bit of that money should be properly accounted for. And it should be an expenditure that meets the criteria that would be eligible to be spent.
No different than what we spend.
Absolutely.
Okay, so percentages aside and separation aside, are there other issues that we need to talk about? If not, I would say that we should move on. And I think we're probably at the point now that we would be ready with the changes that you made for us today to have a motion to authorize Sandy to advertise the budget.
we're gonna try to fund the capital. You did 2 lines.
I know we funded one. What was the other one we funded?
We're gonna fund the
remember the
additional
$831.
$831 on Little Cities.
When there one other item.
I know we talked about
No,
partial
it
funding for
adjusted
those
the
couple of
contingency
things.
fund.
Yeah,
So we don't have to talk about any more of that.
Do y'all want me
okay. As
just
much as you
to,
want to. Yeah.
do you want me just to increase, Glenda Sue's supply line in her?
Yeah, just go ahead and make that
$831?
increase and deduct it from the contingency. I know, Travis, that we talked about partially funding those couple of things in the fire department, but that was before we realized or really considered that we were working with Tony's preferences.
That's all the people right now.
I don't remember another one that we talked about from the info contingency, but we do have money there. So if there's something else, we certainly.
We had another issue, Charlie, I don't know whether we can deal with it here, but we had a question of the maintenance of the outside of the courthouse that was discussed from the building authority. We haven't addressed that budget line that I'm aware of. That could be part of the contingency, but we didn't specify that.
Yeah.
No, we're only gonna pay
We don't need to do that.
I don't think we have to specify it because the contingency is such that we can,
But we did for the carpet and the.
only because it was convenient, because we already had that listed out separately.
I just don't want it to be forgotten.
No, we can utilize that contingency for any appropriate use
Yeah.
for the courthouse, and that certainly would be.
And I don't have a number, the problem is I don't have a dollar number to put in here, but we need to get that.
But we can fund it
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah,
And then in 2020, we'll refresh that contingency fund with additional monies. We have cleaned the outside of the courthouse to get rid of though. It looks a lot better, I think. We haven't done that painting. Which I think.
Yeah, I think that's
what you're
what-
talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about whatever it is,
Yeah.
seal it or whatever the words are.
That was the
Fix it.
painting that we were gonna do.
And I think seal it rather than paint it. Seal it rather than paint it.
Well, the paint that I'm referencing was actually a sealant, but it also had a little bit of color to it. And when I say a little color, kind of put it back to the original colors.
Yeah, I did see,
We can make it any, we can make it a sealer, we can make it whatever color y'all want.
Yeah.
Because I don't see, either way we go with that, I don't see it being a big difference in cost. What we have to do is just make sure that we have the funding available for whichever way that
I just didn't know if they looked into what the cleaning, sealing cost, if there's a difference. They're not.
I don't know, but I can make sure they do. But we do have 305,000 still left in the contingency. And I think, once that consideration is taken care of, I think we have addressed most everything that the building authority wanted to see done.
Yeah, I think so
We've
too.
got the planter protection in there,
Right.
we've got, well, the carpet, and I think we're covering on what building authority.
I think so.
And without having to dip too much more into that 305 contingency.
They're still sitting there.
We'll be good. Anything else before we finalize this thing?
Well, we can make a change in the adopt, in my opinion, or
I don't know that we can make it when we adopt. I think we're gonna have to adopt what we advertise, but we can also always make budget amendments.
Now, if you adopt a motion today to advertise this, no, I mean,
If we don't,
We've done it.
if we don't
We've done
change
it.
the bottom
Yeah,
number,
yeah,
if we don't change the bottom line, we
Right,
can't.
yeah.
We've done it before.
Yeah, because it is, what you're doing is giving the public the opportunity to see the deliberations that are done.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you can change it.
Whatever it could be, David's good with me.
Yeah, I'll go back and look at it, make certain, but yes.
Was funding half a sign, we can leave it at that.
But we can have the discussion in the meantime. Are we ready for a motion? But I'll throw one out there.
Oh, you got somebody want to speak.
Well, I want to ask, I want to ask a question before you vote. if you-
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know once you make the motion, you're going to advertise this and vote. I heard you mention over there when you talked about the commissioner's budget, the commissioner's budget, and if I'm correct, it's about $100,000 higher than last year, round numbers, somewhere around that. Is that correct, somewhere around that?
That sounds about right.
Okay, and then you said something about raises for commissioners.
2 post commissioners.
Okay, and then I read an article that Lonnie wrote, and he talked about raises for a post commissioner. Have you already done like a home rule change? Have you done that by home rule to the charter, or
No,
what was your
at
plan?
this point, Brian, the changes that they would have occurred by home rule would have had to occur before the qualifying date. And since we're post the qualifying date, it will have to be done by local legislation, introduction of a local legislative bill, and adoption by the.
So you haven't done it by home rule.
No,
If you would have done it by home rule, you would have advertised it to the public that you were going to change the charter.
and it will still be, it still will be advertised, it's just a different body's gonna advertise it.
Exactly. A
It'll
body
be
that-
advertised in the Times Courier, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait. Okay. but you haven't done home rule and it hasn't been advertised, and it's in the budget, and when you do this, you're going to approve a budget to advertise to vote on, correct? That's just, all right, so
I don't think,
It is in the budget.
it is in the budget, it is in the budget.
Go ahead.
You're anticipating that Mr. Roston takes legislation down there, and when they open the House, that Mr. Roston will get a piece of legislation signed, which I see that, I read those all the time. But me, I'm a little different. I'm a low percentage that read those, okay, sadly, but, so he's gonna get that, and then you're gonna be able to change that and use the money you have allocated. The point is Mr. Miller, about how much monthly is your salary, may I ask? Well, you get a check of 800, 750?
Sandy, I have to tell you, I'll be honest with you.
800 a month?
I don't see a check, I don't pay.
About 800. What will it go to? What will it go to once the legislation, what do you set it for it to go to?
About twice, yeah.
What, 1,600, okay. So we're gonna go 1,600, so that's 800 times 12, right?
Times two.
Times 2, right? Somebody give me that number real quick, I'm not good with math.
10-4, I believe.
10,400 a year?
Just off the top of my
All right,
head.
10,400.
Doesn't sound like.
But, well, that's what it is. That's what it is currently.
Currently, so it would be another 10,400. You do
Basically.
10,400 now, you're gonna go. So it's gonna be an additional 10,400 that you're not spending now, right? Correct? I'm not holding anybody to any hard numbers, so relax.
Roughly.
All right, roughly. Okay, so it'll be about an increase of 10,400. Let me ask you a question. Did you pay a qualifying fee for double the pay? Or did you pay a qualifying fee for the office you're about to take place for the pay that it is currently at? You don't have to answer, you paid a qualifying fee for the amount now, correct?
I believe so.
That's right,
But
okay.
qualifying fee, I don't.
Okay, so this would retroactively, because she will swear in, and when she swears in, she's legally getting 10,400 a year plus benefits. She paid a qualifying fee to get 10,400 a year. Did you know the amount you would be getting a month when you qualified?
I knew about what it was gonna be.
Okay, so you made the decision to run for office based on an amount.
I mean,
Mr. Miller, you're in your fifth, not based on an amount, but with the
That's
amount.
really the point.
No, that's not, no, just, I didn't mean it that way. You understand? Mr. Miller, you're in your 5th year at this amount. You have a term, you did 3 years.
2 years since I'm.
You're 2 years, but you're in your 2nd term.
Right.
So you served in 2 years, you served 1.5 years the first one, so what, 4 years roughly?
Okay.
So you've got this amount. When that gets passed, he will start getting it, correct?
Yes.
And she will get it, correct?
Only when it's signed in by the.
Right, when it's signed in, right?
Not on January 1, but when it's signed by the government.
That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Period. Period. I mean, I got 10,400 out of 4 years. There's close to 60 for half your sign. You sign up to run. All due respect, I'm not going to question where you think it's worth. I'm not going to question where you work hard. Okay? I'm not going to question that. I just know 840 hours a week. If you're putting 80 hours a week in this, that's $800. You might not think it's a good paycheck in Gilbert County. So if you're getting 80 hours a week in this, or $800 a week, if you're spending 2 full weeks on this, the point being is, if it would have been advertised, at not 10,400, which is both of you, but if it had been advertised at that amount, how do we know in the citizens of the county that more people would not have qualified to run for the office? How do we know? How do we know that people don't run? Because to get a raise before you start qualifying at one number.
I hear everything you say. Let me interject one thing. She didn't bring it up, he didn't bring it up, he didn't bring it up. I brought it up as a leading commissioner.
Lonnie told me that. I understand that. But the point is, it's
So
wrong.
fuss at me.
No, I'm not fussing. I'm a taxpayer. And I heard, hey, Stacy's my friend, but I heard you say, well, I want a real budget, so Stacy's got another $5,000 for ammo. Okay? Serious, all right? So the point is that is wrong. Did the two of you talk about this, and was she aware that you were going to do this before?
Absolutely not.
I'm going to tell this commission here, this is wrong. It's not wrong if you want to raise the pay, because Mr. Chairman, you're getting a raise too out of this, correct?
Not at this point.
No, but it's in the budget. If he signs it, there's money in there for a raise for the chairman?
The only raise that's in the budget for me at this point is the longevity for going into a second term.
It's not in
It's not a what?
it's not in the budget a raise for the chair.
What's in there for me at this point is you get 2.5%
Right.
into it for having completed.
So what's going to go down to legislation for Mr. Roston to present for a vote? You're not in that, it's just post?
At
Okay.
this point in time, there's been no draft of no resolution whatsoever as to this. This has just been simply.
This is wrong to the taxpayers of Gilmer County, okay? And the two of them, and Mr. Miller knows me well enough within county government. I do not see Mr. Miller, I do not even see you. I see two posts that the county has, and the county spends their tax money, and I see two posts. So this is not personal, it's got nothing to do with either one of you. If you want to send that down to David Ralston, the Speaker of the House, and you want to change the pay for the post, first of all, I think you do it home rule, okay? Because I don't know, you would know, but I don't think the legislation has to be advertised in the legal organ. I think it's listed, and I think once it's listed, it's considered public, and it would be up to the citizens of Gilmer County to know that there's a piece of legislation down there. That's my thought. Okay, so if you want to raise their pay, do a home rule, not theirs. Do a home rule, raise the pay, and the next person that runs, let them come over and pay the qualifying fee for the pay that they're going to receive. Let them pay that qualifying fee. Let them run based on that. Let's see the candidates, and when they win, whoever that may be, get the new pay. I'm very adamant that if the two of these post commissioners get a pay raise based on a piece of legislation in Atlanta, after either one of them paid a qualifying fee for the money, and that's how qualifying fees are set, based on the pay. So very adamant that that's wrong. Okay, that's my point. And I don't take this wrong. I know how I sound, and I apologize for how I sound. Good Lord made me this way, but everybody in the county is going to know I feel it's wrong. Just saying. Now, I have one more question, kindly, if you'll give me a minute. Because I hear the money, and I hear the money, and I haven't come. It's like, come on. I don't come and bother you, so give me one more minute. I bothered you in 4 years.
2 or 3 more minutes if you want.
No, I need a minute and a half. Let me ask you a question. So in 2018, am I to understand the number? I don't understand these numbers quite like you guys do. They're real big. 2018, it's $19,379,881, correct? Is that the basic operating budget of the county, right? Is that what I'm looking at on this bill? Right? Is that it?
Yes.
Am I looking that you want to advertise $21,086,621? Is that right? Okay, that's $1,706,740 increase, right, to the budget? Am I right, just for argument's sake, 1 mil property tax, 1 mil is $1 million for the taxpayer? Is that correct? Around $1 million? A half a mil is around 500. That's $1.5 million a year and $1.5 million on my property tax and the rest of the citizens of Gilmer County that go to pay the debt. But you're increasing a budget that you were able to operate last year. Now, I'm not arguing. I don't know. She may need every dime. Clerk of courts may need every dime. Not arguing. But are you telling me, I just want to ask you gentlemen nicely, before you went up $1,706,000, because you could take the $1.5 million off my property tax, and it would still leave you $206,740. Did either of you at any time say during the whole process, hey, can we go up 1 point what and take the $500,000 off of Brian and whoever else has got the nerve to stand up my tax? Was that ever discussed of possibly taking the $500,000 off? I wasn't here. You say yes, fine.
$500,000 is capital.
I understand, Mr. Chairman.
This is the reason, Travis, you alluded to when y'all were talking about the budget and pushing those funds over from the contingency from last year. You've artificially increased your budget. And really, in true,
That's my point
true,
right there.
true balance statement, if you look at it from the true perspective, it should still remain over on the balance sheet. And I was gonna talk to y'all after the meeting individually about it, but you know, you've got a continuing disclosure that's required under your bonds, and you always wanna build that balance sheet up so that potentially at some point in time, your credit rating will even increase. So I would park the money over there, because then, and I'll just use the courthouse, you've got $250,000 in the budget that's been carried over from 2018, and it makes it look artificially higher than what it does, which gives him ammunition to suggest that y'all are just getting careless and reckless, which is not the case in here. You've got the $250,000, which you've saved, which is commendable to be perfectly candid with you. You're budgeting an additional $100,000 this year, and that line item should really just show a budget of $100,000 in capital, with $45,000 of it to be spent on the drywall and the carpet, and $55,000 to be set aside for the contingency fund. And that way, it's a
realistic number.
Yeah, it's a better snapshot. So that would be my suggestion. So, and that would probably, if by the time you move all those back, would result in possibly a $400,000 to $500,000 decrease, maybe potentially, because you're carrying over about that much. And see, that's going to bring it back down to a more realistic number and a more realistic budget, which, you know, we all know you can't. It's very difficult to incorporate last year's budget into the future budget. So,
I want to make sure, because I don't think you said this, but I want to make sure, because I'm the one making the comment. In 4 years, my organization or me personally has not come here and made an accusation of any of the three being careless or reckless. And I know you didn't say I said that today, but I know, but when you said ammunition, you know, like Stacy back here, ammunition, okay? But no, but you understand, I want to make sure, I'm not denying they need it. I'm not denying the other people need it in the courthouse. I'm not denying that. I don't know, I haven't been here. Lonnie does an outstanding job writing. He puts videos up and he handles it, and I pass it off. So I'm not passing judgment. I'm just thinking, when I listen, I'm wondering if anybody said, hey, you know what? Instead of going up $1.7 million, why don't we just go up 1.206740 and give the citizen a $500,000 back? If it just come into discussion, I would feel better. If somebody even, even said that, because I will say this: when I listen to everybody and the cares you have for all the departments, and I do too, these are my friends, okay? The cares you have for all the departments, and the cares you have for Stacy, and the cares you have for that, I just would like to hear, not that you don't care about us, but hey, did you offer that kind of care when you were doing the budget and say, you know, is there a way we could do the numbers this year and give the citizens their $500,000? That's all I'm saying, that's all I'm saying.
When we set the millage, we discussed part of that $1.5 million for the bond.
Okay.
What could be done.
And I wanted to add to that, Travis, exactly the point when we were talking about that. This is my number, and it's my judgment, and my analysis says that we have a backlog of infrastructure in our roads and bridges of about $20-some million that we have not been able to fund. We have about $15 million in building and equipment backlog of capital funds that we have not been able to fund for this county, primarily because we have to pay interest on debt. That balances that out. So I look at our budget, and I am actually happy to say that last year, or this year, is one of the first years we've had any significant money set aside to handle those large future needs. I mean, they are real needs of bridges, roads, buildings, upgraded, improved, replaced, etc. And we are not, I mean, we spent a lot of money on this building and we have $0. We have $100,000 in the bank to replace and renovate and fix this building over the next 10 years. And we're still paying debt. We have to be able, with our budget, to plan ahead, because we cannot do that. If we don't, those those bills and those costs of the infrastructure and the aging of it is gonna come back to bite us, and we will be asking for more property tax, not less.
Well,
So we were able to keep the property tax rate the same and still provide a small amount of funds to meet those large needs in this county for all of our infrastructure, whether it's roads or whether it's buildings, and whether we can keep the county functioning well and not improving it, but keeping it operational. So I don't feel bad about that. We considered that really hard. We looked at that hard. I said, when we talked about the pay raises, I said, if this becomes a political issue, I will not vote for it. I don't want it. It should not be a political issue because it is something that we need to generate and to draw qualified people to come work as commissioners in this county. It does make a difference. So I'm not ashamed of that, but I will not let that become a political issue. It's not right to do that.
Well, when you say they draw qualified, I've known this person for a long time. I'm not going to sit here and say that this individual's not qualified to sit on this commission. It's not going to happen. It's not going to come from me. But what if you did what you're planning to do, and more people would have come out and run and been more of a contest, a stronger contest. But what if? Because you just said exactly what I think, and I can't disagree. Is you know what? It may bring more people out, but the reality is everybody that ran paid a qualifying fee based on. And I understand. Knowing the three of you is I'm not being a passive citizen and not coming and looking at my tax money, how it's spent, but it's just, you need to know, look, you know me well enough, I'm not angry, I'm just passionate. So knowing the three of you is the reason I've not been here. I make different excuses why I've not been able. You three have had give me the opportunity to be able to go out and grow my business in other areas, because knowing the three of you individually and as a group is the reason I've not had to be here every month concerned that anything was, being done. But I just...
Let me give you a case study that typifies our situation. December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2015. We had a slide on Bucktown Road. The road caved in, went down into the creek, big deal. We have it closed. It's now a one-lane road, on a curve, dangerous spot. We've got tape marking it to this day. If we didn't have the funds to go fix it, we had to apply for a FEMA grant to come in. Well, EPD, EPA, DNR, what are all the agencies? FEMA, Fish and Wildlife, all of those agencies had to approve the plan. We had to present plans. They, no, you got to change this, and it went back and forth. We still don't have any funding for that, and there's still yellow tape around that slide. We're fixing to have a third anniversary. What we have been trying to do, I'm speaking for myself, but I believe I'm speaking for everybody, is accumulate some funds so when we have a situation like that, we don't have to go to FEMA. We could have fixed it in 60 or 90 days if we could have funded it. So we're trying to get the county in a financial position to respond to the needs of the citizens in a timely fashion and provide basic services and so forth. We haven't been there. I don't think we're there yet.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that because I think Jim would agree with me. Don't get nervous, Jim. I think Jim would agree with me that I would be here giving him a hard time. But I do, and this is that video running? I do agree Jim needs enough money to get the road department back where it needs to be. That's why Jim has you know that, Jim. I wouldn't be here I'll give you a hard time in the past, Jim.
So
Okay, guys, I am going to weigh in on this here.
Okay.
Okay. Before we get too far off the subject, did you ever stop and think about what you could do for the taxpayers? Yes. I have thought many times about what to do for the taxpayers, but I think about it a little bit differently from the direction you're coming. because I'm the guy on the receiving end of, y'all used to fix my road regularly and now I never see anybody. My road needs to be paved. I'm sorry we don't have the resources to pave your road. I understand that, and really I do. I understand that you're a problem, but my road needs to be paved. What I was thinking of, in terms of how can we help the people, is the beefing up, and we have beefed up the road department in this budget. I'm going to venture to say more than probably it ever has been in 1 year. We're hiring, with this budget, we're hiring 8 new people on the road crew. We've got 22 now, so I'm going to let you figure out what the percentage is, but we're hiring 8 new people for the road crew. We've got a new motor grader in there. And we bought all this new to us equipment the last few years. When I think of how can I help the people of this county, I'm thinking in terms of how can I get these roads squared away? And that is what this budget does, and that's what I was thinking of. When you say, did you stop and think? Yeah, I stopped and thought, but I thought in a different direction than what you're saying. I thought, how can we get the roads squared away? And I think this is going to be a big step toward that. So
I do know you guys work very hard to refinance things here. I know that. I know that very well. I know you guys work very hard to try to get equipment to run again, patch what did not work till you can get the money to get something to work. And that's all I'll say on it. I just looked at the difference here, and 1 point mill, and I will tell you that 1 point mill goes through my mind more than it should. But I do understand where you're going, and I call Charlie from time to time and ask Charlie a question, and Charlie answers it, and I say, oh, okay, Charlie, that's what you guys got to do. And I let it, right, Charlie?
That's right.
I say, all right, Charlie, right? So you know, I've inquired from Charlie once or twice, what are you guys doing on this? And Charlie tells me, and I say, okay. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the openness always of this commission, and letting citizens express themselves.
If I might just respond to Brian. Brian, in 2009, and I'm not sure, did you all move here in 2009? 2009. If you'll recall.
I've been here since 2001.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as, we opened our business in 2010.
I'm talking about.
Okay.
At that point in time, one of my departments, the road department, and it's the one that gets battered around most some, the staff there was cut 50%. It was cut in half. From 32 people down to 16. And the mileage of roads didn't go down. The road department has been the last department to try to get, for the commission, to try to get it restored just back to the position that it was in 2009. And we're still not there with the additional of the 8 positions that we have this year. But we're a whole lot closer to being there than we have been under any other administration that I've worked for. And the onus is going to be on me and the staff when they put the money and the personnel into the department.
We want the fun stuff.
You want to see, yeah, and they should, and you should as a citizen.
Absolutely.
But it goes back to the.
You know what, 4 years, I don't mean to interrupt you, for 4 years I watched you battle Jim with just a hope of getting something, just something that fell off the table. I understand that.
Yeah.
I live where, I've been there 18 years, I should know. What do I live on, Rock Creek there?
Lucius.
But Lucius. Yeah, but what's that runs next to me there?
Oh, the little branch.
I've been there in 18 years, and it would pile up with so much stuff, and we would flood, our property would completely flood out.
Yeah.
And I have actually, in the last 4 years, have had an opportunity to see that claw stop every once in a while and reach over that bridge and clean that flow out, so, I understand that.
But the point that I make is your point on the mill and a half. To me, old country boy say, you gag at a gnat and you swallow a camel. When you have those kinds of things, and the opportunity to build, don't cut. Try to improve. And that's the same thing, I think, that we're seeing with the Chamber of Commerce funding and what we've seen with the law enforcement, the fire and the EMS. Try to build, make it better, not cut it back. Because once you cut it back, it's twice or 3 times as hard just to get it back to the point where it was. And that, to me, is more responsible as far as the public funds are concerned than it is about, you worried about that mill and a half.
I really wish sales tax would take up that slack. You wouldn't have to do it.
That's right.
All right, I no longer want to be remembered as the one that kept us here that long. You guys move along if you need to.
He's such a considerate individual.
Yeah, I don't want to whatever. Commissioner Rickey, why are you here?
I was just listening, being a
Is that-
concerned citizen.
Okay,
No, we need a motion.
I like to
we
stay
do, but
involved.
before we have the motion, do we need to modify this budget the way you're saying?
I really think we're going to do it, to be honest with you, because I think what you're doing, you're inflating, you're doing an injustice to your own.
It's not
county.
inaccurate, it's,
And, you know, I don't mean
But
there's
it's-
any disrespect, but it's newsworthy, headline newsworthy.
Okay,
Go
so-
from 19.98 to 21.5.
So essentially, the contingencies from past years
Sweep
come
them
out.
back, sweep them back.
keep them in assets.
Yeah,
The only contingency we'll show is whatever's being put in for this year.
this year, yeah.
And the money's still designated, it's still sitting.
Yeah, and y'all, if you decide you want to spend $300,000 on the courthouse this year, you do a budget amendment and sweep it out of that reserve fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And see, that's my only problem with all this, is that when it gets time to do whatever it is we allocated this money for, it has to be done with a budget amendment. But that's,
I
you
think
know,
it presents a better picture for y'all, and then that gives you, I mean, y'all have been well on your budget amendments, you're doing about once a quarter now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, and if it's an emergency situation, I would hope that y'all would consider coming in and having a meeting on a call meeting. So,
then my motion is going to be that we authorize Sandy to revise this budget to remove the prior year contingencies as we have discussed here. Make it look the way y'all described. Hey, you know,
We got minutes.
I'm not gonna sit here, you know, y'all know what I'm saying. That Sandy modify this budget in that manner and then advertise this budget, and that is my motion.
I will second that, Charlie.
Should not change.
Okay, so I'm clear. On the,
I'm glad somebody will.
on the, okay, just so I can make sure I'm making the right changes. On the courthouse and facilities contingency, I'm changing that to 55,000.
no, you could change it to 100,000, of which 45 will be shown as an expenditure for that budget year, this upcoming budget, and 55,000 will be set as a contingency. And at the end of the calendar year, if you've not spent the money under contingency, you sweep it back over into the reserve.
Okay.
So the 250 contingency existing for the courthouse will be moved out.
Yes.
The 300,000 for the swimming pool from last year will be moved out.
So there's your $500,000 right there.
And everything other than the $600 and some thousand from this year's contingency, M&O,
Additional.
will be moved out, which I think that's already that way.
Any
And the associated funding
balances
for those,
carried forward will not show up in the
yeah.
M&O or capital.
That way, if your revenue meets your target, then you should have be able, unless you spend those monies, have those contingency funds available to push back over into the reserve.
And once it is all done, you copy David. And you put down,
You got all of this.
you get it blessed.
Okay, now here's what I have, just so I'm, okay. I have put $100,000 in contingency for courthouse and facilities. I have then put back in the $30,000 for the firewall and the $15,000 for the carpet replacement.
Now, those, that should be a note next to the $100,000, that the firewall and the carpet replacement will be coming out of that $100,000.
Okay. Well, I had done that, I had done that, but in a different way, but I'll fix it the way you want it. And then on the, I took out the, 300,000 from 2018 that was included in the contingency for the swimming pool. So now we just have 300,000 budgeted for 19.
Right.
Okay. We're good.
Now, is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Nope.
Okay.
And make a motion we adjourn.
Well, we have something from, no, okay. We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have any citizen speaks first?
Oh, sorry.
If not, we have a motion to adjourn, and I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. All right. Appreciate it.